Hi, this is Julie from Skunk TV. I'm here with Eddie Funksta from Native Healing Oils. Really happy to have Eddie here. Thank you for being so patient today.
Oh yeah, thank you.
We're working together. Thank you. We're working together.
Papers.
We're really happy to have Eddie on board. He's doing regular features in the magazine, writing for us every issue. First premiere issue of The Highway at the 13th Annual Emerald Cup.
Oh yes.
And here he's talking about mushrooms, both nutritive and psychedelic, which is part of our vision in The Highway in talking about the green renaissance, as we like to call it, is to talk about not just cannabis, but other healing plant medicines, holistic living, nutrition, conscientiousness of our different ancient wisdom systems that we can tap into again. And you're all about that. I love following all of the wisdom that you share on a constant basis.
Thank you.
I love your lady Gigi. You guys have this family feeling, this seed to manufacture focus. So tell me a little bit about what inspired you with your work with Native Healing Oils and what you're doing with this.
All the work, it really got inspired when I was 12. In 1989, my uncle died of AIDS, and our family got to witness probably one of the most best spirits in our family, just get ravaged by this horrendous disease. And, social stigmatism on how people deal with it. We're a conservative Catholic family. That's what I was raised with. My grandparents are very conservative. They actually don't even like me talking about that situation, but it's my passion on why I do this. I don't mean to disrespect my family, but honestly, because of my uncle's passing, he was one of the greatest spirits of my life, and I was 12, and I witnessed a great man go down. And so with that, I just wanted to find a way to help them. And so when Proposition 215 came in 1995 here in California, I helped people get signatures together. I was still in high school. I just turned 18. First time I voted yes on Prop 215, and I was totally for it. And then in about 2001, 2002, I met Dennis Perone, and I started to communicate with him about what Proposition 215 actually meant, and it was for, the AIDS patients and his movement in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he asked me what my passion was. I explained to him the same scenario, how my uncle's scenario was, and he was very supportive, gave me his blessings on how it needed to be what was missing in the community part. Well, actually, at that time, there was nothing missing in the community. When I spoke to him, it was about how we made it and how passionately happy he was, and community was being put together for sick people. And when you're dying and you have disorders, you don't have friends, you don't have money, nobody really hangs around with you. You don't get handfuls
Absolutely.
of beautiful bud like this because you have to go to places to get them. When you're sick, how many houses do we pass by sick people that need this medicine, but we're driving to this show? And so,
absolutely, yeah.
Dennis
a lot
Perone,
of beauty is often born from pain.
yeah,
And
tremendous pain.
The tremendous pain that led this passionate desire to create medicines that could help people.
Yes.
That's what this highway and this idea that this has been building for decades of warriors who've sacrificed themselves, who had real life story of pain, breakdown, suffering, sadness, and then took that passion and built something.
Yep.
So that started at 12.
Yep.
And fast forward now to your product line and the variants that you've got here. So you're growing your medicine organically.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about how you create the medicine and then why you've chosen these different products.
So about 1999, we started growing weed, and it was weed back then. Proposition 215 was there to kind of protect us. I was young. I wanted to make money. I was from the ghettos, and we were hustling, and I was tired of the dry spells of no good weed. And the weed wasn't coming. This isn't dropped off every Tuesday from Mars. This is grown by some really smart human beings right here down the street.
Yeah.
And so when it got into a dry season and I was stuck with getting, some pretty crappy weed, it really frustrated me. I need to learn how to grow this. So I got deep into growing, and at that time you couldn't go into hydroponic stores and talk about anything. You walked in there and you bought what you bought and you didn't communicate. This is right after Operation Pipe Dreams.
Yeah.
And, people were afraid to communicate. So we're trying to grow and figuring it out. I didn't smoke my own weed for 2 years. So I was growing the weed, and this is being honest. It was just moving it. This is, in the late 90s, early 2000s. And today I could probably get to fail on every test there was for my first grows. But, we learned it was the curve. And, I started to see, I was going to shows and functions back then, like the Emerald Cup and harvest shows and festivals, and I was pulling out the same weed as everybody else, and it kind of frustrated me, like, oh, you got the same Amsterdam weed, and I got the same weed, and so I said, well, hey, I want to start breeding and changing up the products, and that was about 2001, 2002. I started breeding my own plants, and at that time I also started learning really good cultivation techniques like organic growing, and hydroponics are there, and it was really cool with the good cool nutrient company bottles that were coming out, and we spent a lot of money on them, and our product would end and it would taste like crap, or it would pop and taste like metal, or it wouldn't harvest right. And we did, this was at a time we couldn't go in there and ask questions or even complain to the hydroponic guys. So
there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, so I just kind of went back. I'm kind of old school tech of everything. I went back 100 years and said, how do people farm and how did they grow things? There's not being raised Catholic, I've heard of all these angels, and
I was raised Catholic too. Yeah. I know what that's like.
Yeah, there's no angel general hydroponics that come and gives nitrogen to these plants
there
to stay
are
green.
Though, you know that.
Oh yeah, it's
the
mycelium.
Plants all have their little
yes.
allies in their medicine.
It's mycelium and it's bugs, and that's what breaks down the earth. And so I learned that, and I started growing organically, and that really changed the technique on how I looked at the cannabis and how the products started to come out from that product. And it was Soma that actually put it in a great perspective for me years ago, that said, if you start with good cannabis, whether it's genetics or nothing but genetics, then you will always have fun. You will do good with how your products come out at the end. You will come out good with good seeds. You'll have good products all the way through. So good genetics is always the number one plus. Everybody's argument is good genetics or good growers. And it's always good genetics, because even if a bad grower has good genetics, they'll want to grow again and inspire them to do better because they had something that was good in the end.
The plant is teaching them.
Exactly.
And as they learn to listen, the plant brings you to task to learn to listen. And if you don't, you have your pitfalls, right?
Oh, yes.
So that's how she's a teacher, teaching us symbiotic relationships, teaching us how to improve our systems. I see that you're always a student as well.
Oh, yes.
You're always constantly gaining new knowledge in your work. You've just come out with this line that is now being distributed across California.
Yes.
The native healing oils, the NHO extract, which is wonderful, powerful medicine, full plant medicine. And then you have your canna caps. Yeah,
low dose canna capsules for a lot of. I want to make products besides smoking. Doing this for 20 something years, smoking weed, making hash is pretty much a normal standard. I felt that I was dealing with 80, 90-year-old patients. And Prop 215, I thought helping people dying was the first 10 years of me doing it. I helped over 200 something patients pass away or transition over, and I started to think like, hey, maybe medical cannabis should be for people that are still living and want to stay alive.
Yeah.
So, smoking, I smoke mad hash and dabs. I mean, this pipe is crazy dirty. We've been having fun this show, and I enjoy the ritual of smoking, but at the same time, medicinally, taking these oils, got me more out of stopping and taking a 30-minute dab. I was able to take a 20-second hit of my NHO and, take a capsule of it, go right along with my day, get moving along it, and start enjoying my life and not getting trapped down with, hold on, let me roll a joint. Hold on, let me get a dab. Hold on, let me turn on the nail. Let me,
It's not either or, it's and.
Yeah, am I living for...
lots of choices here.
Yeah, am I living for the weed, or is the weed living for me? And right now, the weed needs to live for me, not the other way around. I've been breeding for 25 years. It's dedicated a lot of my life. I've sacrificed many things in producing this product and trying to stay relevant with, what I would want to consume. So it's not having the best product, it's having a product and trying my best.
Yeah.
So that's what I've always tried to learn. Yes, the plants teach me that.
That's what shines through in your work, and that's why we're really happy to have you on board every issue. One of the things I want to touch on too is the fact that I feel that you're an innovator. I've listened to a lot of Terrence McKenna and his work with mushrooms and psychedelics of all kinds, and human consciousness and evolution.
Yes.
And I know that this is deep inquiry of yours. You specialize in psychedelic cactuses. You're doing a lot of work with mushrooms. I know you told me you were very inspired recently being up in Seattle, talking with people who are in the leading edge of mycology.
Yes.
And personally, I've always felt like cannabis and mycology are the perfect pair to heal our world and help heal our systems. So can you talk a little bit about that area of your work?
Please, I could talk a lot, but I will talk a little bit about it. I could.
You gotta talk a little bit.
I will go. Yeah, we'll do a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the
So
work
good.
with medical cannabis, we figured out curing people from cancers and AIDS and fibromyalgia and multiple sclerosis, and we can go down the list and check off hundreds of ailments that we've been able to cure with cannabis and cannabis products. But then I felt like there was this gap, when you cure somebody, when you not cure somebody, but when you alleviate ailments like cancer or even AIDS from somebody from their life when they're trapped in this world. Cannabis did it, saved it. You have an activist, you have a martyr, you have somebody that's going to fight for this movement. But what you don't have is the mind change and the PTSD that they get from them, from their disorders or going through chemo radiation. I recently worked with a lady that was, she's in her early 60s, and she's went ravaged through chemo radiation. She had breast cancer. She's, first off, she's a beauty queen. She's won numerous beauty queen contestants, and she's a prom queen.
Yeah.
She's a gorgeous woman. When you look at her pictures of her before, she looked like she'd be a gorgeous woman today if she didn't get ravaged by chemo and radiation. And she had a mastectomy and she lost one of her breasts. And now she says that she walks by herself in the mirrors and her reflections, she has anxiety and panic attacks. She doesn't know who's in her house. She feels like there's a stranger there and it's not her anymore. And so cannabis, we always say, well, smoke a joint and forget about it. And it wasn't working. We were using so much cannabinoids and so many of these hybrids and OG Kush and sour diesel and Gorilla Glue and everything. It wasn't working. These people didn't want to smoke anymore. The medicine cured them from their disorder and their disease. How did we fix their mind? We didn't have this tool. We didn't know about this tool. And so actually back in high school, I wrote an article in the 10th grade about shamanic practices in Peru and Costa Rica, because I had to write an article that was controversial in high school. Very easy for me to do. So I wrote about how in the Native American cultures, the shamans or the women of the cultures would collect the mushrooms. They would drink the mushrooms in a tea in a ceremony with the tribe. The shamans would drink this. The communications that the shamans got, they would urinate into an urn, and the main warriors of the tribe would drink the urine, which was filled with psilocybin, which would have the communication that the shamans got on how to heal their society. And then the warriors drank the urine, ran into the woods, stayed there for a day or two until they were done with their trip. They would come back and they had visions on how to protect their community.
Absolutely.
And so when I was 15, I was learning like, wow, this is what they did, and it opened up their minds on how to take care of themselves. And I also learned that our history was erased of all this stuff.
Yes.
And how psychedelics grow on this earth, and they're plants, just like cannabis is, and how they're ridiculed, mushrooms and ayahuasca and DMT and San Pedro and peyote and all these other sacred plants that are growing on this earth that we're supposed to communicate with, that are part of us.
Yeah, it's a gift for our consciousness.
Definitely. So like this lady that was suffering from her disorders, and she was like, how do I get out of this, Eddie? And you helped us get out of my cancer, and I'm not going to die next year like I'm supposed to because of the cancer. I can live my life, but I don't want to live my life. I'm not my life. This is not me. I'm supposed to be a gorgeous woman until I'm 90 and, have men drop dead because I'm a gorgeous looking cougar, and now I'm a mutant.
Yeah.
And so we gave her some psilocybin, and she tried some magic mushrooms, and we, with the shaman that we work with, we're able to get her some 5-MeO DMT, which is the heaviest tryptamine in the tryptamine world, which is produced by us in our pineal gland. Yes. We see it at birth and we see it at death, and it sends us to the spirit world and brings us from it. And so we're able to wipe people's anxieties away of turmoil and depression, and 50,000 hours of therapy was done in 15-20 minutes.
Absolutely.
And they were able to
delete the files. It's a negative dialogue. that's
Yes.
perpetuated in our society.
Yep.
You go in and you take that dialogue out. It's just completely deleted. And
Yeah.
you have the real dialogue, which is the soul dialogue that
Ex-
gets to come through then.
And it gets to talk to you. You get the
Yeah.
communications of the plants, and Mother Nature gets to talk to you, and you realize how unimportant you are,
Yeah.
and how normal this is for you, and how this happens to all things on this planet, and that you're part of the circle, and that you are here to create, that we're not born of sin. We're not negative people of this planet. We're born from creation, and we're here to create goodness and positivity and love and passion, because hate and blackness and darkness is easily spread all around us and can be found in all things living and all things not. And so if we can find our purpose for here now, and that's love, compassion, and creativity and creation, then that would make every single day an inspiring day. And when we check
Absolutely.
out of this planet, we'll understand that we did our piece. We did our part for one another and for mankind and for humankind and for earthkind. Because these
Absolutely.
plants, cannabis cleans the earth. Mushrooms clean the earth. Tryptamines grow from a dirty earth to help our dirty minds to get refreshed again,
Cleanse.
to flesh, to help us with tomorrow. How can we change tomorrow if we're still living in today and yesterday? We need to have new resets.
It's a
And
reset.
yes, and we need these things. And Albert Hoffman knew this, and Terrence McKenna knew this, and there's DMT and psilocybin and ayahuasca, and there's so many concoctions that are there that are made from plants that are there to open us up, wipe us away. And so many people are stuck on, as Rick Simpson told me years ago, brainwashed by the white coat.
Yeah, that's why Terrence would say how, psychedelics aren't illegal because we have a loving government that's trying to protect us.
No.
They're illegal because they help us to actually get connected with the deep wisdom that we all are.
Yes.
That we are connected to at all times. Also, in creation, nothing lives for itself. Everything lives for each other.
Yes.
And we're meant to be that way too. We're
Amen.
meant to live for each other. It's a selfless thing. Just because we are channeling whatever our soul passion is, our soul gift, we're channeling it as a gift. A presence is that gift. That's the new way of living. That's what this Renaissance is all about. And that's why I'm so happy to have you on board speaking these things, because it is planting new seeds of consciousness, new dialogues of thought.
Yes.
Like Marcus Garvey said, it starts within the mind. We have to free ourselves
Yep.
mentally of these shackles of anxiety, of PTSD. Why do we have PTSD? Because we feel disconnected. What happens when we get connected? We don't feel PTSD anymore. Like you said, one night of sacred intention of psychedelics can help reset somebody's consciousness.
Yeah, and I don't even call it PTSD, because post-traumatic stress disorder,
Yeah.
I call it PTLD. It's post-traumatic life disorder. We're all living it. It's not going to
Yeah.
end. Your stress don't end tomorrow. And one of the things I learned from my father-in-law, he passed away, unfortunately, about a little bit over 2 years ago. About a year ago, I'm sorry. He made a lot of sense to me, is that I stressed so much on bills, and he had a pituitary gland taken out of his head 14 years before he passed away.
Wow.
So the 14 years that he had there, he said, hey, this is all a gift. I'm not even supposed to be here. He's very religious. And he passed away on Easter, which was an amazing blessing for our family. And on that Monday after he passed away, the bills were still calling. And he
Yes.
always told me, don't stress on bills, because even after you're gone, they're still trying to collect.
It's
So
true.
it made a lot of sense on
We
what
gotta
I...
change our consciousness
Yeah.
to wealth consciousness, not poverty consciousness.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
So all this is where it all came from. I was helping sick people that couldn't afford the medicine, and I was helping AIDS and cancer patients. They couldn't afford the smoke. The smoke wasn't really helping. The nuns in the hospital and the nurses didn't want me bringing in pounds of weed and nugs to joints. They wanted another product. I was bringing in tinctures and syringes and capsules, and I was giving it to them in a sublingual and a very respectful manner. And the doctors listened to me. They seen that and at that time I had dreadlocks, and I was, looked like a thug on the street, and they gave me the respect to say, how are you healing people from our hospital? And from there I kind of seen like, hey, in the streets, I'll smoke joints and hang out with my friends that grow these plants, make these genetics that are healthy enough to provide a good quality product to people that are not healthy enough. And that was the bridge that I tried to gap between it and Prop 215, and Dennis Perone and Ed Rosenthal were really drivers of my passion. Ed Rosenthal put me in his books. He liked how I was growing organically. We took all of my genetics, and started taking the plants and making the product.
Hi, Ed. Ed and Jane are down in South America right now.
Nice.
They were here this year. They're normally here at our booth.
Yeah, I spoke to him recently at a show in LA at the Cannabis Infusion Expo. It was a pretty good show.
They've been representing that family model and holding the line for decades as an engaged couple.
Yes, and it's important. Same thing, like me and my wife been together for 22 years. I have a 19-year-old son, a 17-year-old son, and a 7-year-old son.
Family-oriented.
And I'm very family-oriented. I believe in routine of stability and support, and not jumping and changing and canceling and quitting. It's, if you want advice of anything in life, seek the advice of people that have been doing it for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Not somebody that done it, give up, started all over, or changed. No. It's okay to quit and start something new, but if you quit, it's because you've accomplished it and you left inspiration for people to keep it going, not because you got frustrated and couldn't handle it anymore. And seek advice from seek advice from people that almost closed their business 100 times but didn't. Seek advice from people that have been married for 62 years and how is it staying together. And it's I met a guy that's been married for 62 years. He goes, well, it's it's been the best 4 years of my marriage. And so
Exactly.
and he's like, you don't know what 4 years those were, but I've been happily married for the last 4 years, but I've been married for 62.
Yeah,
And
luckily the golden memories eclipse all the hard times. When you look back, it's so beautiful what you see.
Exactly. Seek the goal.
Seek
the goal.
Exactly. More like nature.
Yes.
Water wears away rock over time. It creates things. It makes things beautiful, but it's slow and steady.
Yes,
evolution.
It sure
it's
is.
beautiful.
So check out my articles.
Yes.
I'll be in the magazines.
Thank
I'll
you
be talking
so
about a lot
much,
of crazy
Eddie.
things.
Check out the feature on the oils there. Also, Happy Place.
Nice.
Happy Place is coming up.
Yes,
we're
Happy
excited
Place,
for that.
Victorville,
You've worked
and
a long time with that group.
Oh yes,
as
I'm
well.
part of the
Brothers.
Hitman family. I've been part of Doug as a best friend of mine for many years, and I support the company for a long time. Doug's a heavy innovator of the industry, creating pipes and glass that we enjoy to smoke and keep us high. The new compound rig by Hitman Glass is something new that everybody wants to try to get to, and
there's more to come.
Yeah, we have Happy
so
Place.
Much going on.
Yeah, we have the lineup
The
is
Hitman family, and all the different offshoots of creators doing incredible
coffee
work.
shops coming,
So
the
amazing.
farms, Hitman Farms in Oregon, Arizona,
absolutely.
Michigan, New England. We're progressing.
Organic coffee, I love it.
Yes, cold brew, and we're working with quite a few things. So and my company, Native Healing Oils, is right alongside wherever you can see Hitman. I'm right there alongside, and I don't usually advertise it too much because it's pretty much goes by word. I have it, it's there, it's produced, but we can't make enough of it for anybody. Nobody can.
No, you keep rising and rising.
And everybody, and I would like to encourage more people to make it and to just do it with respect and stature. Would you give it to your grandmother? Would you give it to your grandfather?
Yeah,
is it a grandfather that you love? That's the other question. So say because you'd poison them. That's not the question we want. We want you to, would you help somebody you care about tomorrow? That's where you want to give this medicine to. Would you want it for yourself? If it's safe for you to eat, then give it to somebody else, because your life is very important to help somebody else's, and that's that's what cannabis has always been.
Integral. Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eddie Funksa.
Yes, appreciate it.
Come in. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, John. I miss you, brother. I wish you were here, John.
We love you, John. You're here with us, Johnny.
Hey, pick him up.
All right. We love you guys, and stay tuned. We're coming back with more. Thank you so much.
Thank you.